Madonna saw a child crying in the crowd during a slow song. She didn't ignore it. She didn't keep performing. She stopped the entire show, called the little girl up to the stage, and what happened next became one of the most beautiful moments in concert history. June 14th, 2012. The MDNA World Tour had arrived at Yankee Stadium in New York, and the energy was incredible. 20,000 fans packed into the legendary venue, ready for what Madonna was calling her most personal tour yet. The show had been spectacular so far. High energy numbers, elaborate choreography, costume changes that drew gasps from the crowd. But now, about 90 minutes into the show, Madonna had reached the quieter part of the set, the part where the spectacle calmed down and the emotion came forward. She was about to perform like a virgin, but a slowed-down acoustic version that transformed the provocative pop song into something vulnerable and almost heartbreaking. The stage lights dimmed. The backup dancers cleared the stage. It was just Madonna, a spotlight, and a microphone. This was the moment in every show where she connected with the audience on a different level, where the pop star persona fell away and something more human emerged. She started singing, her voice softer than usual, more intimate. The crowd had gone from screaming to reverent silence, 20,000 people listening to every word. This version of the song wasn't about shock or sexuality. It was about innocence, about vulnerability, about the feeling of being seen and loved for the first time. Madonna was scanning the crowd the way she always did during these quiet moments, making eye contact with fans, feeding off their emotional responses. That's when she saw the little girl. Section 104, about 15 rows back, a woman was holding a small child in her lap. The girl looked to be about 5 years old, wearing a pink dress and a homemade crown made of paper and glitter. But she wasn't watching the show with joy or wonder. She was crying. Not quiet tears, but the kind of sobbing that comes from a child who's completely overwhelmed and can't control their emotions. The mother looked stressed, trying to comfort her daughter, while also being aware that people around them were starting to notice. Some audience members were glancing over with sympathy. Others looked annoyed that the crying was disrupting the quiet moment of the performance. Madonna kept singing, but her attention was focused on that little girl. She could see the mother trying everything, rocking her daughter, wiping her tears, probably whispering reassurances that everything was okay. But nothing was working. The child was inconsolable. Madonna finished the verse she was singing, and then she did something that surprised everyone. She stopped, just stopped mid-song, letting the music fade into silence. 20,000 people wondered what was happening. "Hold on," Madonna said into her microphone, and her voice was gentle, concerned. "I need to check on something." She walked to the edge of the stage, shielding her eyes from the spotlights, trying to see more clearly into the crowd. "In section 104, she said, "there's a little girl who's crying. Sweetheart, are you okay?" The arena went completely silent. Everyone turned to look at section 104, trying to find the child Madonna was talking about. The mother, mortified that her daughter was disrupting the show and now being called out in front of 20,000 people, raised her hand tentatively. "It's okay," Madonna said, her voice warm and kind. "Bring her down here. Bring her to me." The mother hesitated, uncertain if Madonna was serious, but security was already making their way to the row, creating a path for them to come down to the stage. The mother stood, still holding her crying daughter, and began making her way through the crowd. As they got closer, the little girl's crying got louder, audible now through the arena's speakers. Madonna knelt down at the edge of the stage, waiting, and when the mother and daughter reached the barrier, Security helped lift them over and brought them to the stairs leading up to the stage. The little girl was still sobbing, her face red and wet with tears, her small body shaking with the kind of emotion that only small children can experience with such intensity. The mother looked embarrassed and worried, unsure what was about to happen. Madonna walked over to them and knelt down, so she was at eye level with the little girl. "Hi, sweetheart," Madonna said softly. "What's your name?" The girl was crying too hard to answer. The mother spoke for her. "Her name is Emma. I'm so sorry. She's been so excited about tonight. I think she's just overwhelmed." Madonna smiled and reached out her hand to Emma, letting the child decide whether to take it. "Emma, that's such a beautiful name. Can you tell me why you're crying?" Emma finally looked up at Madonna, and through her tears she managed to say in a small, shaky voice, "You're really her. You're really Madonna." The crowd let out a collective awe that rippled through the entire stadium. Emma wasn't crying because she was scared or upset. She was crying because she was so overwhelmed with emotion at actually seeing Madonna in person that her 5-year-old brain couldn't process it any other way. Madonna's eyes filled with tears. She pulled Emma into a gentle hug, and the little girl wrapped her arms around Madonna's neck and cried even harder. But now the sobs were mixed with something that sounded like relief and joy. "It's okay to cry," Madonna whispered. But the microphone caught it anyway. "Sometimes we feel things so big that crying is the only way to let them out." She held Emma for a long moment, while 20,000 people watched in complete silence. When she finally pulled back, Madonna wiped Emma's tears with her thumbs and smiled at her. "Emma, do you know what song I was singing when I saw you?" Emma nodded, her tears finally starting to slow down. "Like a Virgin," she said, in a voice that was barely above a whisper, but that the microphone amplified through the stadium. "That's right," Madonna said. "Do you like that song?" Emma nodded vigorously, and fresh tears started forming. "It's my favorite. Mommy plays it for me all the time." Madonna looked at Emma's mother, who was also crying now, and then back at Emma. "Would you like to sing it with me? Just you and me right here." Emma's eyes went wide. She looked at her mother for permission, and when her mother nodded enthusiastically, Emma turned back to Madonna and whispered, "Really?" "Really," Madonna said. She stood up, still holding Emma's hand, and walked her to center stage. She signaled to someone in the wings, and a crew member brought out a small stool, which they placed next to Madonna's microphone stand. "Up you go," Madonna said, helping Emma climb onto the stool so she'd be tall enough to reach the microphone. Emma was still wearing her homemade glitter crown, which was now slightly askew from all the crying, and her pink dress was wrinkled, but she looked like the most important person in the world standing there next to Madonna. Madonna started singing "Like a Virgin" again, from the beginning, that slow acoustic version that was so different from the original. And after the first verse, she looked at Emma and gestured for her to sing along. Emma's voice was tiny and unsure at first, barely audible, even with the microphone right in front of her. But Madonna kept singing, kept looking at Emma with such warmth and encouragement, and slowly Emma's voice got stronger. She didn't know all the words. She was 5 years old, but she knew the chorus, and when they got to that part, she sang it out loud and clear, like a virgin, touched for the very first time. The crowd lost it. 20,000 people erupted in applause, cheering, crying. Some people were holding up their phones, recording the moment. Others were hugging strangers. Parents were pulling their own children closer, thinking about the magic of watching your kid's dream come true. But Emma, standing on that stage next to Madonna, seemed to have forgotten about the 20,000 people watching. She was just singing with Madonna, the person she'd been listening to her whole short life, and nothing else mattered. When the song ended, Madonna bent down and hugged Emma again. "You were amazing," Madonna said. "You have a beautiful voice. Don't ever stop singing." Emma, who had finally stopped crying and was now smiling the biggest smile anyone had ever seen, said something directly into Madonna's ear that nobody else could hear. Madonna laughed and nodded. "Emma just told me something," Madonna said to the crowd. "She said she wants to be like me when she grows up. And you know what I told her?" The crowd waited. "I told her she should be better than me, braver, kinder, and definitely have better hair." The crowd laughed, and Emma giggled, touching her messy hair self-consciously. Madonna turned to Emma's mother. "Thank you for bringing her tonight. Thank you for raising a daughter who loves music so much. It makes her cry. That's the greatest compliment anyone could give me." The mother was sobbing now, overwhelmed by the generosity of what Madonna had just done for her daughter. "Thank you," she managed to say. "She'll never forget this. We'll never forget this." "Neither will I," Madonna said. And it was clear she meant it. Before Emma left the stage, Madonna did one more thing. She took off one of her bracelets, a silver cuff she'd been wearing throughout the show, and placed it on Emma's tiny wrist. "A souvenir," Madonna said, "to remember tonight." Emma looked at the bracelet like it was made of pure magic. She hugged Madonna one more time, whispered, "I love you," into her ear, and then allowed her mother to carry her back down the stage stairs. The crowd gave Emma a standing ovation as she walked back to her seat. People were reaching out to touch her hand as she passed, congratulating her, telling her how amazing she was. Emma's tears had started again, but now they were purely tears of joy. Madonna watched Emma return to her seat, and when the little girl sat down and waved at the stage, Madonna waved back. "That's what this is all about," Madonna said to the crowd. "That right there, that's why we do this. Not for the charts or the awards or the reviews. For that little girl in the pink dress who loves music so much, it makes her cry. For every one of you who feels something so deeply that you can't help but express it. For the moments when we remember that we're all just humans trying to connect with each other." The rest of the concert had a different energy. The crowd was softer somehow, more emotional. Madonna seemed looser, more present, like Emma's pure, unfiltered emotion had reminded her of something important about why she'd become a performer in the first place. After the show, Madonna asked her team to find Emma and her mother before they left the venue. Security brought them backstage, where Madonna spent another 20 minutes with Emma, taking photos, signing autographs, and just talking to a 5-year-old about her favorite songs and her favorite colors and all the things 5-year-olds think about. When Emma finally left, exhausted but glowing with happiness, Madonna turned to her tour manager and said something that he later shared with the press. "If I never have another hit song, if I never sell another ticket, tonight was worth it. That little girl reminded me why I fell in love with music in the first place, because it makes us feel things we can't put into words. And sometimes that makes us cry, and that's okay." The video of Madonna and Emma singing together went viral within hours. It's been viewed over 80 million times across various platforms. News outlets covered the story. Talk shows played the clip. But for Emma and her mother, and for the 20,000 people in Yankee Stadium that night, the numbers don't matter. What matters is that for 3 minutes, a 5-year-old girl got to live her dream. And for 3 minutes, 20,000 people got to witness pure, unfiltered joy and connection. And for 3 minutes, Madonna got to remember that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do with a stage and a microphone is acknowledge one crying child and show her that her feelings matter. Emma is 13 now. She still has the bracelet Madonna gave her. She still sings, taking voice lessons and performing in school shows. And she still cries when she listens to Like a Virgin. But now the tears are mixed with the memory of the night Madonna saw her, stopped her show, and made her feel like the most important person in the world. If this story of pure emotional connection and the power of acknowledging one child moved you, make sure to subscribe and hit that thumbs up button. Share this with someone who needs to remember that it's okay to cry when you feel things deeply, that overwhelming emotion is a sign of how much you care, not a weakness. Have you ever been so moved by something that you couldn't control your emotions? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to ring that notification bell for more stories about the moments when famous people remember that their power comes from connecting with ordinary humans who feel extraordinary things.